All right, guys, again, thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to talk about information regarding sexual harassment so we can identify what it is, what to be on the lookout for, how to avoid it, and what happens if you are participating in such behaviors. Okay, again, like I said just a couple seconds ago, this is a little awkward. You might be thinking, hold on a minute, I don't even want to talk about this. But this is a very important topic that we cover so that you guys know what it looks like, how to avoid it, and what's going to happen if you engage in this type of behavior. And the reason we need to start talking about this in middle school is because this is when statistics tell us that sexual harassment begins. A lot of people experience their first bouts of sexual harassment during middle school ages. You guys are all at that period in your life where things are changing and different topics of interest are coming up. So you need to know, you need just knowledge about this so that you can take action when it happens. Please know that engaging in sexually harassing behaviors is a topic that we consider a very, very serious one. And this is something that can go beyond school consequences. This is something that could possibly have law enforcement implications in your life, which could impact you in the future moving past middle school. So we definitely want to avoid these types of behaviors. So first, let's identify what sexual harassment is. Okay, there are different types of sexual harassment. It's any unwelcome behavior as a sexual nature. It can be visual, verbal, or physical. Okay, visual harassment is making gestures towards people of a sexual nature, passing notes, or sending images of a sexually harassing nature. That includes topics like sexting, sending nude or partially nude images of yourself or someone else via the internet. There's verbal harassment. This includes telling sexual jokes about people, spreading sexual rumors, using crude sexual language, making suggestive comments, and name calling of a suggestive sexual nature. Then there's all the way down to physical sexual harassments. That's touching, grabbing, pinching, smacking any private body areas. Now, according to the law, the legal definition of physical sexual harassment has to include touching of the breast, buttocks, or genital areas. Okay, so that's the legal definition. I have a much more gray area as a principal, and I'm able to use school consequences on things that are less serious than that. But you could also get into a gray area of intimidation, just your unwanted physical presence, getting too close to somebody or pretending like you're going to touch them. That can still be construed as sexual harassment. Okay, sexual harassment can be exhibited, or sexually harassing behaviors can be exhibited by anybody. This is not linked to one age group. Any age, any gender can be sexually harassed and can be a sexual harasser. Okay. Sometimes the aggressor, the person doing these behaviors, doesn't realize what they are doing is wrong. So that's part of the reason why we're doing this, to teach you guys that this type of behavior is wrong, can get you into very, very serious trouble. Sexual harassment violates a federal law called Title IX that we as schools have to enforce throughout the day. Okay, so here's some examples of sexual harassment. Covered a couple of these earlier, but name calling, rumors, inappropriate photos, sexting, and just using your physical presence to make other people uncomfortable. Those are all examples that have come up in the past, things that you want to be on the lookout for, things that you want to avoid, things that you want to not do to other people. Again, this can get you into very, very serious trouble with law enforcement agencies. Okay, here's some statistics involving sexual harassment. The first one, the top one, is girls are more likely to experience sexual harassment than boys, but that does not mean that it doesn't happen to boys. The most common type of harassment is verbal, but physical harm, you'll see on one of the slides, people experience physical sexual harassment the least often, but it can be the most traumatic and most harmful to a person's overall well-being and psyche. Right? And most abusers identify a single person, the abused identify a single person as their abuser rather than groups. And that abuse usually occurs person to person and not when you're around supportive people. So really, A way to avoid this and a way to avoid bullying in general and people being mean to you in general is just surround yourself with a good group of people. If you have good friends who are positive and who are pouring into you and building you up every day in a positive manner, then this stuff that we talk about how to avoid, that's the number one way to avoid it. Have good, positive people around you that support you and help you in your growth and development. If you don't have that kind of a peer group, let's talk about it. Let's see what kind of changes that we can make to get you into a positive, more positive peer group. So here's another chart just showing the types of sexual harassment that students have experienced in person. You can see all the way down at the bottom are more physical acts, and all the way over on the left, the things that happen the most often are jokes, gestures, and comments that people make back and forth to one another. Again, I tell you guys all the time, be awesome toward one another, treat each other with kindness and respect. If you are making sexual jokes or spreading rumors about people, you're doing the exact opposite than that. You're doing harm. You're pouring negativity into other people's lives. And we need that behavior to stop. Okay, here are some of the effects of sexual harassment on the victims. So being harassed can lead to low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, loss of focus, physical illness, disruption of the learning environment, obviously. Please know that if somebody is doing these types of behaviors to you, it is not your fault. It is their fault for doing those behaviors to you. It is not your fault. You've done nothing to cause this to come onto yourself. This is action that other people are doing that needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. So if you are being harassed, and you can use this even beyond sexual harassment to any kind of verbal harassment or physical harassment, don't ignore it. That's the number one thing, especially if it's happened more than once. That denotes a pattern is starting to occur, and we need to break out of that cycle, break that pattern. Okay, so don't ignore it. Tell somebody. Tell the first person you see, find the nearest adult that you trust that supports you, and go to that person and let them know what's going on. Keep a record of what has happened, when it happened, and if other people are around who can vouch for you and who can back up your claims and statements. Okay, so that's an important record of when and where, especially if this type of harassment is happening on your cell phones or over social media. You need to make sure you keep that evidence. Just keep it. Don't delete it. That happens sometimes. Unfortunately, it makes it a lot tougher on our end when we're investigating these issues if we don't have any other evidence to go on. So please know that your body is yours. Nobody has the right to make you feel unsafe and disrupt your personal space and your personal body safety. Always be aware of your surroundings. And if you know a situation is going to be dangerous, if a situation could lead to this type of behavior, maybe somebody has a history of this type of behavior, make sure you're guarding yourself, okay? Take steps that are proactive to make sure you're not going to be in those situations, okay? Be firm and direct with this person who is harassing you. Let them know right away, I don't like this. You need to stop, okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. Again, your personal space is yours. Nobody else has a right to violate that personal space. Tell them to stop. Be direct, be loud, be bold, and then get help. Go to a trusted staff member. Make sure your parents are aware of what's going on. You have to report something. If that one person doesn't do anything or say anything, tell another person, then tell another person, then tell another person until the issue gets solved. If you see this type of behavior happening, bystanders have an effect on every incident that occurs in our school. When somebody's acting a fool in class, if you're laughing at them, it's boosting them. It's giving them support to keep that behavior going. So if you see somebody engaged in this type of harassing behaviors and you're a witness, let them know. Stand up for the abuse, stand up for the victim. Let them know that what they're doing is wrong, and you're not going to sit idly by and let them continue to do it, okay? So you'll make it better for the victim if you stand up for that person, give them support, give them encouragement, be a type of person that can be around them and pour into them positively and build them up. Okay, make sure you go to an adult, report it to an adult. Even if that person wants the victim sometimes will say, well, I don't want you to tell anybody. I want you to keep this secret. If a person is going to be in harm or is in harm currently, you need to make sure you get them out of there. Don't keep that a secret. Get them help and get them support that they need. Okay. There's ways to avoid being involved in harassing type of behaviors. Don't be a part of the crowd. If you see it happening, don't egg it on. Don't jump into it. If you're uncomfortable, you can use an anonymous tip. Our anonymous tip is called Stop It. Okay, you guys should have access to Stop It now, so you can jump onto the Stop It website and put in an anonymous tip. Before you think or do something, ask yourself, how is this person going to feel if I do or if I say this? If that would make you uncomfortable being touched in that way or having a joke made about you in that manner, don't do it. I was just in a conversation last week with a student who was making a joke toward another student, but then got very, very upset when another kid did the exact same thing to them. I was like, do you not see how that's you're upset because of the same thing that you just did to somebody else? Okay, so that's called empathy, guys. Try to put yourself into somebody else's shoes and think, okay, is this kind of person going to be uncomfortable? Then I'm not going to do this. Make sure you're showing respect for everybody around you. Treat each other awesome. Let's make our school be the best place it can be. We want to have a fun environment. We want to have a successful environment. We want to have high academic achievement. And that starts with everybody feeling safe when they walk in those doors. So be respectful to everybody around you. Be awesome to one another. Treat each other with kindness and respect. And we're going to have a great day every day. And we'll be able to help people when they're not having such a good day. If you have any questions or want to talk about this issue further, you can always reach out, contact me, contact Mr. Shepard, or contact Mrs. Stuckey. That's all I got for you today, guys. We do have quite a few athletic events this week. We've got home events for, I think, all three, cross-country, volleyball, and football. So hopefully we see you guys out there and we see you cheering on our cadets. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.